Hello, everybody, and welcome to Honor Thy Podcast. This is the weekly DCTV Arrowverse podcast where we discuss everything Arrowverse. I'm your host, Declan McKinney. You may know me as the host of DC Central, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Dan McCance, otherwise known as Mule Kick Media.
Hey, how's everyone?
Sounds positive yet again. And with us this week, we have a special guest returning to the podcast for the third time. We have ComiChris.
It's good. Thanks for inviting me. Excited to talk about all things Arrowverse.
Yes, we'll dive into that. Now, luckily, we actually landed on a pretty good day recording this because we had literally no news this week, but then today, the CW upfronts happened. But before we dive into the upfronts news, this technically links into the upfronts because I think this was said at the upfronts. But I mentioned to you guys just before we started recording that I was going to bring up something about Legends that might actually get you a little bit more hopeful for season 5. There was an interview with Phil Klemmer, who's of course the showrunner for Legends season. Well, he was the showrunner for season 3, at 4, and will continue to be in 5. And he went and spoke a lot about the finale, but at the very end he did speak about season 5. So I'm just going to read out that part of the interview. He said, speaking of season 5, Hey World, which is the name of the episode, will also set up the show's 5th season in a substantial way. It's a big kickoff for season 5 because the consequence of meddling in 2019 present day on a public stage is one that you can't hit the reset button. We all felt like there needed to be a completely different aesthetic to season 5, and in the closing minutes we sort of announced, oh, we're done with magic and we're going into something completely different next year. So it seems like Legends is completely abandoning what it did this year. I don't know if that means in terms of the comedy and that kind of style, but they're definitely getting rid of the magical stuff, which I think is definitely a good sign.
Thank God for that. Thank God.
So does that mean Constantine's gonna?
I think it does. I think that means Constantine is gone. It's actually interesting. I met a couple of weeks ago. I actually met Matt Ryan, who of course plays Constantine. And,
Really?
Yeah, I went to Wales Comic Con and I met him there. And I was speaking to him about Legends. I was speaking to him about Constantine and stuff. And I was saying like, are you going to be in season 5? And he said to me that at that point in time he would find out in a couple of weeks. Which it's been about a couple of weeks, so it seems like maybe Matt Ryan maybe knows now or something like that. Maybe he knows. But if they are completely getting rid of magic, you'd have to think that maybe Constantine would be leaving with that.
Yeah. Unless they remove his powers or something, which I don't know.
Which would be bullshit.
Yeah.
That'd be further adding to Legends.
Yeah. That'd just be too far for me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, Constantine has been very specific to this season. He was brought into this season because obviously it was all about magic. So, it kind of feels like, would he have much use next season if they're not dealing with that kind of stuff? But yeah, it's just something I wanted to read out because the fact they're saying that it's going to be a completely new aesthetic in season 5, that gets me a bit more optimistic and a bit more hopeful. But I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think like this is maybe a good start for season 5?
Well, anything that's not this season is going to be a vast improvement. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah, it's definitely a step up.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. But yeah, I think if they're just going to abandon the magic thing, then I really can't see how they would keep Constantine, just because he's so based around that area that I think if you take him out of that, it would just be a little bit weird for me personally. I always kind of saw Constantine as like, if he's going to be in Legends, he'll probably only be in like the one season yeah. And then that would be it. Which is a shame because I have liked him this season, but I think with him being so magic based, has obviously brought all this magic element to Legends, which just hasn't suited it this season. So I think it would be for the better. And yeah, if that is the thing they get rid of the season and they have like a completely different aesthetic, then yeah, I'm fine with it. I'm happy for it. If it gives us the Legends of season 2 and season 3 back, then yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, definitely. I think like because one thing it does also bring up in the interview is that he starts talking about the finale, and obviously we've seen from very early on, really in this for the back half, we've seen that this kind of shots with them dressed as like the Arrowverse Trinity.
Yeah.
And the reason why they are dressed up as Green Arrow, Flash, and Supergirl is because they are trying to basically make the people, because the finale is actually taking place in present day. Which is interesting for Legends. And they're trying to make like the current world kind of trust them by dressing up as superheroes, franchise superheroes. But that kind of annoys me because they are superheroes. I mean, I know this is like.
But they don't wear the costumes anymore. They just don't do it, man.
That's it. Like, why don't you wear your own costumes? You have your own. Like, why are we doing this thing? And it's just like, I mean, granted, yeah, it's cool to see like Sarah dressed as Supergirl and Nate dressed as Green Arrow, and I don't know why Gary's the Flash. It could have been anyone else.
At least he chose the correct suit, the best suit.
Yeah, that is true. At least Gary has a good sense of style. But I guess obviously based on the story of Legends season 4 right now, I guess we understand why it's not Ray, because it would have been Ray if he was available. But obviously Ray is currently near wrong. So you know, it just annoys me because I'm just like, why don't you... I don't want to turn this into a Legends season 4 rant, but like, why don't you just use your own costumes? It's annoying. Anyway, moving into the proper upfronts now, we have a lot of news that came out regarding the schedule for next season. We also have some news for Arrow and a lot of Batwoman news. So I'll start off with the schedule. So we have the official schedule. So starting off on Sundays, we have Batwoman, which will be officially launching in the fall at 8 p.m. and that'll be followed by Supergirl, which is sticking on Sundays at 9 p.m. I thought that would have been the other way round.
Yeah, I would have thought Batwoman would have been the 9 p.m.
Yeah, that's same.
Not only because of like the tone of the two shows, like obviously Batwoman is going to be darker than Supergirl, but also because, you know, you'd think that they would have Supergirl on first, and they'll use Supergirl's viewers to kind of bolster Batwoman to go straight after. Like that's what they've done with that's what they did with like Black Lightning and Arrow, and even I did it with Black Lightning and the Flash as well. So like I thought they would have done it the other way around, but I guess they're not. I don't know. Maybe I don't really know what their strategy is there. But you know, whatever. It's up to them. But yeah, that it does now confirm that Batwoman is officially coming to the Arrowverse and will be officially starting in the fall of this season, which is pretty cool. Now Mondays is Black Lightning at 9. I don't know if any of you care about Black Lightning.
I intend to catch up with it eventually, but I haven't watched it since the mid-season finale.
Same. I dropped off after the season 2 mid-season finale, and I never went back. Season 2 just didn't grab me.
I'm still gonna, don't get me wrong, I'm still gonna go back to it. It's just like when all these shows finish, when I finish, like, because at the moment I watch like one show every day, and at the moment my schedule is very packed, so I had to make room for shows that I prioritize more over ones that I'm least interested in. Yeah.
So Black Lightning is going to Mondays at 9, which I think is Black Lightning on Mondays at 9 now. I think it is. I think season 2 was anyway. I think that was its time anyway. So I think Black Lightning's stayed. And then Tuesdays is going to be the Flash at 8 as always, and then that's going to be followed by Arrow at 9. So Arrow has moved yet again. Arrow's every day of the week. So. Now, I'm not a big fan of this schedule from the point of view of a creator because it's a pain in the arse. Obviously, with Supergirl and Batwoman being on the same day, and then Flash and Arrow being on the same day. Now, luckily, with the Flash and Arrow thing, it's not too bad because we only have to deal with Arrow for 10 weeks and then it's gone. But you know, still for like Supergirl and Batwoman being on the same night, that's going to be for the whole season. And then in regards to Legends of Tomorrow as well, Legends isn't coming back until the mid-season.
Really?
Yeah, so Legends is not going to be coming back this fall. It's going to be in the mid-season. So kind of like Black Lightning season 1.
I thought they were doing the they were in the crossover, the Crisis crossover.
They are, but their actual show won't start until.
So I guess I'll bring that up as well. So it's been officially confirmed now. Well, it was kind of leaked, but it's basically been confirmed now that the crossover is going to be 5 hours long. So it's going to be Supergirl, Arrow, The Flash, Batwoman, and Legends.
So Legends, I heard about that. I saw that. So that means Legends, they're going to have like their...
So I assume Legends is just going to have either its premiere extremely early, or it's just going to have like a one-off episode.
That's what I was basically trying to say.
Yeah. Because it's not actually going to come back until the mid-season, but like I think it will obviously just have like one sort of random episode. You know, it'll just be called, you know, Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 4 or 5 or whatever it is. And that's what it will be. But yeah, so do you have any other additional thoughts about the time slots? I mean, like I say, I just think it's a bit annoying as a content creator. If I wasn't if I was the content creator, I'd be like, oh cool, I get like Arrow and Flash on the same night, awesome. But as a content creator, I'm like, damn, that's 2 reviews on the same day.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it works for me because I don't review either show, so it's easy for me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. But then, what do you think about Crisis then? So like that was like a little
5 hours.
5 hours, yeah. So that's the longest crossover we've ever done. The second longest was Crisis on Earth X, which was 4 hours. But this, we're getting the addition of Batwoman as well.
So here's the thought. So why? I wonder why Black Lightning is not part of it then.
See, that's the thing. I was wondering because if the CW ever intend to bring Black Lightning into the Arrowverse,
this is the prime opportunity.
Exactly. It would be Crisis. I don't know.
Yeah, because my only theory with that is if they are intending to do Black Lightning, is we will see it after the Earths have merged. Because obviously that's what Crisis on Infinite Earths is all about. It's all the Earths merging into one. So we would maybe see Black Lightning come in as a result of that. But I don't know. I don't know if they ever are going to bring Black Lightning in. I don't know.
I don't think they. I honestly, if they don't, it's just that you would think that with this, they'd be like, "Oh, Black Lightning is going to be part of the crossover." You'd think it'd be like a big thing that they'd be wanting to push. So if they're not doing it now, I really don't think though that they'll actually do it. Yeah. It just confuses me as to why. Because surely the CW must want to push this, which makes me think that it might just be from maybe the producers of Black Lightning don't want it.
Okay, so here's what I've come up with in my head. I don't know if this is true, but when I was on Netflix a few months ago, I saw Black Lightning on Netflix, and then I was thinking, hold on, okay, so that means all the Arrowverse shows are on Netflix. So I tried searching for Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends. They weren't. And when I did actually watch a Black Lightning episode on Netflix, they were saying it was a Netflix original, which obviously we know it's not, but I don't know why they did that. So my guess is that maybe it's a business decision.
Yeah,
because I feel like
I can put an answer to that. Basically, what happens is what's weird is all CW shows are Netflix exclusives here in the UK, except for the Arrowverse. Because the Arrowverse shows are obviously on Sky One. So, because like for example, like Riverdale, when I used to watch Riverdale, obviously Riverdale is a Netflix exclusive here in the UK, and on Riverdale it says the same thing. It says it's a Netflix original series, even though obviously it isn't. So that's all that is. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just there to say like in Netflix UK have the official distribution rights. It's like Titans as well. Like obviously Titans is a Netflix exclusive here in the UK, but obviously that's a DC Universe show.
Yeah.
So that's all that is. But it's annoying because but with that in mind though, it does make me think. Given the fact that the Arrowverse shows are the only ones not on Netflix, but Black Lightning is on Netflix, makes me think so is Black Lightning definitively not a part
not
of
on? Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a shame if that's the case, just because I just guess just to open it up more to other people.
The thing is,
what's Black Lightning's viewers like?
I think it's not that good, to be honest, from what I remember.
So surely you'd think they'd want to bring it into the Arrowverse to boost its views, because surely it would, because then you get like Flash. Because the thing is, I think with Black Lightning, and I kind of feel like this as well, is it's on the CW, it's a DC comic show, but then it's not part of the Arrowverse. So what's the point?
But the thing is, they've name dropped some of the Arrowverse characters in the show.
They've name dropped.
So I feel like it is part of the Arrowverse. They're just not. That's what's going on in my mind. I feel like it is part of the Arrowverse. They just don't cross over for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, because it's I know they've name dropped Supergirl, they name dropped Vixen.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are links there. And I'd love to see Black Lightning come over. I really love the character of Black Lightning. I'd love to see him come over, especially if they were ever going to cross over with anybody. I think it would have been awesome to see a crossover with Arrow.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they're ever going to do it, it's got to be Crisis.
Yeah, it's Crisis, but we haven't heard. Maybe Black Lightning might appear in one of the episodes, but
in the episodes, but he won't have his own individual episode.
Yeah,
I'd be fine with that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I'll be fine with that.
Because
it kind of does. Yeah.
As long as there's tangible evidence and proof that it is a thing, then that'd be fine. We don't need like a whole episode.
Yeah, I'll be okay with just like him appearing in an episode. That's fine.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. So that's all the Crisis news. Now, we did get a few little pieces of Arrow news as well. So for one, the CW Seed, which is the CW animation banner, they did the Vixen show, they did the Freedom Fighters, the Ray show. They've now announced their third show, which is going to be a Deathstroke show.
What? Wait. Hold on. What?
Yes, a Deathstroke show.
With Manu Bennett.
There's been no confirmation about who's voicing him yet, but if it's on the CW Seed, you would have to think it's Manu Bennett.
Did this news come out today?
Yeah, straight out today. Straight out of the upfronts, yeah.
Wow.
So we're getting a Deathstroke animated like Arrow spin-off with Slade Wilson. I mean, this is great. Like, this is so good.
I can't believe this. Wow. I'm actually so excited for that.
Yeah, so like it's super cool. It's currently in development on the CW Seed, and I mean, you'd have to think it's Manu Bennett because, like, the Vixen series starring Mari McCabe had the same actress voicing her who played her in Arrow season 4. Freedom Fighters the Ray had Russell Tovey voice him, who obviously played him in the crossover and stuff like that.
I've still yet to watch Freedom Fighters, by the way.
I
always intend to watch it, but I just never get around to it.
It's not very good. it's all right. Like, because I was really excited for Freedom Fighters the Ray, because I was like, well, Vixen was really good, and I was like, and I really liked his character in Crisis, but I was like, the show itself, it's a bit, yeah, it's okay. But an animated Deathstroke, so although I would love to see a live action one, obviously just to have like that visceral action style to it, the fact we're getting more Deathstroke in the Arrowverse, and this will presumably take place, after Arrow season 8 has aired.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
I would see that.
I mean, my only question is well, one, is Manu Bennett voicing him, which again I have to assume he is.
Yeah, I have to assume he is as well.
And number two, when is this show taking place? Is this taking place as like a prequel show, or is this a following on from when we last seen him in Arrow season 6?
I think here's my theory. I feel that it's gonna be, because remember when Slade left in season 6, he said that it was gonna find his other son or something like that. So I feel like that's what the season is the show's gonna be about. It's gonna be about him finding his son.
Yeah.
My only thing is with that is that obviously I assumed when he said that he meant he was gonna go looking for Joe, but Joe, like, I mean, we've seen Joe in Arrow season 7.
Oh wait, what was it? Wait, who was his other son again?
Well, this is the thing. His other son was Grant Wilson, who we
saw Grant,
who was in Legends of Tomorrow. But what is actually interesting is Joe Wilson in this current Arrowverse continuity has killed Grant Wilson.
Has he?
Yeah, he says that. He says when him and Deathstroke are fighting in season 6, he says, I wanted to be just like my father. I killed my own baby brother.
Maybe he was just lying. Maybe
he was lying. Maybe he was trying to manipulate Slade, but that's what he said. So
I have a feeling that they would just ignore that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a throwaway line. You can pass it off. Like, you can even pass that off as a lie.
I mean, there's a lot of things I want to forget from Arrow season 6. So if that can be one of them, then yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So here's my next question about this. Because when I watched the Vixen series, it was like what minutes. So is that going to be the same for Deathstroke?
Yeah, I mean, they're basically mini movies, aren't they? Like, because I've got like the Vixen Blu-ray, and it basically is just on one disc, and it's all edited together on the Blu-ray.
What is it? So it's just like 1 20-minute episode or something like that.
Yeah, it's basically just a movie, the Blu-ray, essentially. So I don't know if they're gonna do that, how long this is gonna be, how long the episodes will be, things like that. I would love for this to be like a proper series. Like if they do like a 6 episode, like do like a 6 episode miniseries. That would be super cool.
Yeah. Me personally, I would like maybe 3 or 4 minutes like Vixen was. I would say maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes for 6 episodes. That's fine. I'll be fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be super cool. And then you have like an overall hour-long kind of thing. Also, do you think we'll get any potential Arrow cameos in this? Like, obviously, we know Oliver is not going to be around. If this does take place in sort of like the present, obviously Oliver will not be around. But depending on who survives Arrow season 8 in Crisis, like could we see like Diggle or someone like that?
It's possible, but I don't know. It's possible.
Thing is, there's no real other Arrow character who really has a connection to Slade.
Exactly.
Maybe other than Sarah.
Other than Sarah,
or maybe Thea. Maybe Thea.
Yeah, maybe. It's difficult, isn't it? But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But this is still incredibly exciting news. Like the fact we're getting a Deathstroke series is super cool. I mean, we've been talking, on this show before about potential Arrow spin-offs. This is technically our first one, so there is that. So we're still waiting on our first live action one, but yeah.
The thing is about a live action Deathstroke. I feel like we're not going to see that in the TV side of things because they're doing something with Deathstroke in the movies.
Yeah, if they ever actually do that. Poor Joe Manganiello. He was like,
did you hear that? Yeah. Did you hear the rumor that Idris Elba is playing Deathstroke?
Yeah, I did, and that is a big kick in the teeth to Joe Manganiello. Okay. I mean, I love Idris Elba, and I think he'd be great as Deathstroke. But I would really love to see Joe Manganiello just do it. Do you know who Idris Elba should play? Bronze Tiger.
Be a good Bronze Tiger.
Yeah,
I can see that happening. I don't think he will play it, but he will be a good one.
I mean, we know he's in the movie, and he was meant to be playing Deadshot, but now that's not happening. So people are saying it's Deathstroke. I mean, this is a Suicide Squad movie. Like, Bronze Tiger is a famous member of the squad. I think it'd be fine, but obviously we'll get to talk about Bronze Tiger a bit later on. So we did get an official synopsis for Arrow season 8 as well. Don't get too excited. It's nothing too big.
Yeah.
Most of it is literally just like your average Arrow synopsis, and then at the very bottom we have like this little bit where it literally just says, Oliver Queen is forced to confront the reality of what it means to be... Oh no, sorry, hang on. Oliver will find himself pit against his most challenging battle yet, one that will leave the multiverse hanging in the balance. In Arrow's final season, Oliver Queen is forced to confront the reality of what it means to be a hero. That's it.
That was very insightful.
Yep. Thoughts?
Cool. That's it.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's basically just talking about, obviously, what we kind of already knew based on the Season 7 finale, which is that Oliver is going to be dealing with the multiverse next season, setting up Crisis, potentially going around playing the role of the Harbinger from the comics, going around, recruiting different members. We could see the John Diggle Green Lantern, which would be amazing. Do you think they're actually going to do that for Crisis? Like, do you think we're actually going to see Diggle suit up as the Green Lantern?
I would love to see it, but I just don't think they will, just because of Green Lantern with the DCEU and budget as well. Because imagine the budget you'd need to do the effects for Green Lantern.
What about if it's just like one scene though, like 90s Flash and else?
Yeah, but if that happened, I'd probably be sat there like, I want more.
Yeah,
knowing me, just because of what they've done the past 12 months of hyping it up. If it was just for one small little scene, I think I'd be a little bit disappointed, but that's just me being really selfish.
I just feel like, because it's such a fan thing, and I feel like, this is their last chance to do it, really. If they're going to do it, they should do it in Crisis, and just to make the fans super happy before the show ends. It'd be super, super cool. But yeah, it's a bit, and it depends if they can even use Green Lantern.
If they can use Flash, if they can use Superman, they can use Green Lantern.
Yeah, but we don't really know what the rules are. That's the thing, because they can't use Deathstroke anymore, or maybe they can because they're doing this animated thing.
Yeah,
maybe the animated thing is a way around it because the animation, because it's animation, not live action. Like, there's so many difficult rules that later what they can do and loopholes and things like that. So who knows? But anyway, it'd be super cool. And then we also got an announcement of an Arrow retrospective. So this is going to be taking place, from what I understand, after the season 8 series finale, and it's going to bring back all the cast and all the crew and all the original creators, and they're going to look back at the 8 years of Arrow.
Is there going to be an episode or something?
See, I don't know. I don't know what this exactly is going to be. If it is an episode length type thing, if it's a documentary style thing, if it's a movie type thing. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't think there's been any official word, but it's being described as a retrospective. So they're going to be looking back at the history of the show, obviously what it inspired, and how it sets up the Arrowverse and things like that, and just looking at the history of the show going through all 8 seasons, and just as an Arrow fan, with it being my favorite show of all time, that's just going to make me cry.
Yeah, very. Yeah.
And
can we bring back Paul Blackthorne? Can we bring back Joe Dini Cole while we're at it?
Oh no one cares about him, Declan. No one cares Declan.
Oh, I have to say though, I'm excited for this retrospective. Like, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
It's going to be really cool just to see who they get back for it. Will be really cool to see, because I imagine they'll probably get as many like big cast members as possible to come back for it.
Yeah.
But no, it's just a nice thing to do, just to celebrate. You know, the fact obviously this is the flagship. Well, without this, none of this would be possible. So I think it's nice for them to do something like this, and I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah. When Arrow ends, I feel like during the summer, the next of what year are we in now? 2019. The next summer, 2020. I feel like I'm gonna rewatch the entire series from 1 to 8.
I'm so gonna do that. I am so planning to do that. But with this retrospective, it's interesting because I don't know if you guys own. I know you do, Dan, but I don't know if you do, Chris. But like for the Arrow Blu-rays,
for season 2, yeah.
Yeah, on the season 2 Blu-ray, there is a season 1 recap, which is really good actually. It's really well put together, and it's narrated by John Barrowman, who of course plays Malcolm Merlyn. But after that, they never did any of them ever again. Like that, I looked on the season 3 Blu-ray. There's not one for season 2, and they never did one ever again. So like, I wonder if it's going to be something like that, and maybe like they get a different cast member to like do a voiceover for like. But I don't think it's going to be like that because that's a recap.
Yeah.
Going through
I don't think
what the whole
like
season was. Whereas like this will be something like talking about finer details and things. It'll be more like interview documentary style type thing, which I would personally I prefer much more.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be cool. Okay, so now moving on to Batwoman news, we got quite a lot of Batwoman news actually. We got a first couple of stills from the show, from the pilot. First one we see here has it just shows Ruby Rose standing in front of a bike on the streets of Gotham. Nothing really to talk about there. I have seen people bring up though, where do people think this is being filmed? Because obviously Gotham and Elseworlds was filmed in Chicago, but these shows typically film in Vancouver. So like there is a debate going on right now about where this is being filmed.
Most likely Vancouver. Likely.
It's most likely Vancouver, yeah. Because the thing is, they can just reuse the shots they have.
Yeah.
Like for any aerial shots and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I bet they probably filmed a lot more, but they just never put it in the Elseworlds crossover, so they can just reuse that for whatever they have, like the skyline shots they usually have in these shows.
Yeah, because I know Arrow's skyline shots, I'm pretty sure are Boston.
Boston, and I think some of them are like other places as well. Like they use multiple skylines for the aerial shots.
Yeah. So, like, it's not too big of a stretch. And these things can be edited and stuff like that. So it's not a big deal. And then the second one we have, which is a lot more interesting, we actually see the Batsuit in this one. Now, this Batsuit is based on the trailer, which we'll talk about later, is the suit that Kate Kane actually wears, but it's obviously modified and it's changed. Because I remember when this photo first came out, because these photos obviously came out before the trailer came out, and people were speculating, oh my god, it's the Batsuit. But is this the actual Batsuit? Because even in the trailer, they're like, oh, well, this was Bruce Wayne's suit, I think. So
I feel like they can go two ways with this. One, yes, it's the Batsuit it's just edited. Or two, it's, made to fit a woman.
It's interesting. I think the question comes down to if we'll ever see Batman on this show.
I feel like we will see. I feel like it'll be like a Superman Clark Kent situation with Supergirl. I feel like, obviously, we're not going to see him in season 1. I feel like we will see Bruce Wayne, but we won't see Batman.
I just wonder, like, if they've got a Batwoman show with Batman obviously existing in the lore, like, they have to show him at some point. We have to get there at some point. I mean, hopefully it's not a Titan situation. But that'd be pretty.
Oh God, don't remind me of fucking Titan. Jesus Christ,
I've
I've still got seizures from that finale with that fight sequence where it's just hyper editing. Jesus Christ.
I have to say though, for Titan season 2, I am excited to see Ian Glenn as Bruce Wayne. I'm excited.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's gonna be cool.
Ian Glenn is the man.
Yeah, that's gonna be pretty cool. Rip Jorah, but
don't put me through those emotions, man. I've only just recovered. I hate you.
But we also get to see the Lucius Fox's son, who's going to be like a main character in this. I can't remember the character's name. I think his name might be
Luke Fox.
Is it Luke Fox? I think it might be Luke Fox. Yeah. But he is the son of obviously Lucius Fox, who is kind of insider. You all know who Lucius Fox is. But we also see a bunch of gadgets on the wall as well. Like you can see like a grapple gun and the batarangs, and you can also see a shotgun. So we're getting a bit Zack Snydery with this iteration of Batwoman.
Yeah. Oh God, no.
But yeah, that's an interesting shot. I see that obviously Kate Kane, like her haircut's quite a bit different in this than what we saw in Elseworlds.
Yeah. I mean, obviously this is going to take place. I guess it'd take place like a year or two before Elseworlds. So.
I don't know if this whole season takes place before, or if it'll just be this one episode. I assume it'll just be this one episode.
I think the one episode, only because if you make the entire season, but before Elseworlds, it'll just be strange when we all of a sudden get to the crossover.
Yeah.
It'd just be too awkward. So I reckon they'll probably do it all in this pilot, and then after the pilot episode, it'll catch up after the events of Elseworld.
Yeah.
Here's something I have a question for you guys. So why do you think an abandoned Gotham?
Because we can't have Batman on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the real reason. But in the actual universe,
just one holiday.
maybe he got his back broken by Bane.
Maybe, but then you'll still see. But then if he did, you would assume that some people would know about that.
True. I mean, see, the thing is, like, I'm trying to think, because all the villains in Batwoman, especially based on the trailer, they're all going to be, like, actual Batwoman villains. Like, they're not going to be Batman villains. And then based on Elseworlds, all these Batman villains are in canon, because we obviously went into Arkham and we saw all the cells. Like, we saw, like, Edward Nygma, we saw Oswald Cobblepot, the worst of them all, Mark Guggenheim. Like, we saw them all. So, they do exist out there, but so it's just like, someone like Bane could exist.
I don't know. We'll just have to see what explanation.
Do you think we'll see any Batman villains in this?
I've maybe some obscure ones. I'm not sure what about for big ones though. To be honest with you, I'm not too sure. I think it depends on how lenient Warner Brothers is going to be.
I can see them.
I know
she does. I can see the show using, because remember in Elseworlds we saw Nora Freeze.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's probably the one that I definitely put money on that we'd probably see again.
Yeah, I could see her coming on the show.
Yeah, it'd be like their version of Mr. Freeze, essentially. So what's interesting is in the trailer we do see the villain Alice, who I believe is the sort of big bad, and this whole Alice in Wonderland gang. Which, I mean, I don't know if that's a thing from the comics. I know Alice is a thing in the comics because that's Mad Alice. But if you look at Batman lore, obviously we have the Mad Hatter. It feels weird to me. Like why would you go? I mean, I know that Mad Alice is obviously a Batwoman character, and that's obviously where they've gone with it. But it just feels strange to me, like, because like Mad Hatter is a lot more well known, and we've never seen Mad Hatter either. Well, outside of Gotham.
I was gonna say technically we've seen him in Gotham.
Yeah, outside of TV show Gotham, like we've not really seen Mad Hatter, so it'd be cool to see him in there. But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, let's talk about that trailer. Well, actually, there is a synopsis as well, but it's incredibly long. So should I read that out? It's quite lengthy.
Read out the most important bits.
Yeah.
So I'll just try and like sum it up basically. So you have like Jacob Kane, who is Kate Kane's father, who after Batman disappeared, he set up his own sort of military, protecting like force basically, and he's been dealing with this Alice in Wonderland gang who have now risen up. So Kate returns home and decides that she needs to actually take on this gang because this gang has actually kidnapped her ex-girlfriend Sophie Moore. And so she is suiting up as Batwoman to go on and take on this gang, and she's going to be working with Luke Fox. So, yeah, his name is Luke Fox. And she's going to be working with him and also her stepsister. So that's obviously like our core team there to take on this gang. Now, one thing that worries me is in this, at the very end of the synopsis, it does say armed with a passion for social justice.
Oh God!
Please.
We were doing so well. Oh God!
I mean, anyway, I'm not going to dive into that too much because it literally means nothing as of the synopsis, but it gives me Supergirl nightmares. But anyway, let's talk about the trailer. I didn't expect to get a trailer.
No.
It just kind of happened, and it's a decent length trailer as well, like 3 minutes long. But what did you think of the trailer, Chris?
I liked it. I liked it, but at the same time, I actually did think that some of the acting was a bit kind of corny, and yeah, I feel like some of the acting was kind of corny. But then again, that's the CW. A lot of the CW acting. Yeah, it feels like it's part of the Arrowverse, which is obviously good. So I'm excited. I'm excited and interested to see what the show is actually going to be about. I'm just trying to the whole Batman thing because really in that universe, Batman should not be absent. I know, yeah, he can't appear in that show because of legal reasons. Just trying to feel like if they will give a good enough reason for his absence, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because like you just don't buy that Batman would abandon Gotham.
Yeah.
You just don't like, because even like when you look at something like Dark Knight Rises, like Gotham literally went to shit and he still came back as soon as he possibly could, and he literally practically died trying to save it. You just don't buy the fact that he'd be like, oh yeah, this is getting a bit too much, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, I've had enough of this shit, I'm out. It's just, you don't buy that.
Yeah.
What about you, Dan? What are your thoughts?
Similar to Chris, I think there were parts of the trailer that I did really like. Like I say, I like the tone and the atmosphere of it. Very much feels like it's part of the Arrowverse. I felt like some of the music choices in the trailer were just not very good. Like, what is it the CW this week with shitty music choices in just everything they do? Like, this week's just been awful for it. Yeah, fuck's sake.
It's the teen audience.
Fuck's sake. Yeah, but yeah, that music was shit. Some of the acting was very corny. Ruby Rose, I'm still not fully convinced by as Batwoman. I don't know. I'm still going to give it a chance. I'll give it a chance because obviously people have already, like, there's been some early reactions to the pilot and people have been saying how great it is. So I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, see what it's like. And I thought it was good overall, but it didn't exactly blow me away. Then again, I find that a lot of the pilots that the CW have done, especially with the Arrowverse, haven't been that amazing. I know Declan completely gets off to the Arrow pilot, but it's not as good as people will probably remember it. Like, some of the acting in the Arrow pilot is pretty corny, to be perfectly honest. So
funny you mentioned the Arrow pilot. I literally watched it last month. I rewatched it again, and I actually so many memories from it, but I didn't feel like it was corny. I actually feel like it was okay. But you do. I would say this though, Stephen Amell's definitely improved greatly.
Yeah, that's the main thing. Is that I think Stephen Amell's acting in that, it's good, but it's not quite. I don't know. Like it's not as, I'd say, I don't know what word you'd use for it, but like, as magnetic as his performances later on in the show. Like, especially season 2. Yeah. Season 2 is like where he really steps into the role. With the pilot, it's not quite there.
Yeah.
But then again, it's the first episode. Exactly. You're progressively going to get more into the character afterwards. So, yeah, I'm still excited for it. It's just there's just a few things about it that have me a little bit worried.
Yeah, that's my thing that I say, because obviously I've been one of the most negative people when it comes to Ruby Rose's casting. And this trailer still did nothing for me in regards to her. But I've always said this as well. Stephen Amell in season 1, he's not that great, and I feel authority to say that, given the fact I'm in love with him. He's, he's not the great actor that he is now. He definitely grew with the show. His acting talent improved as the show went on. I mean, if I look at Stephen Amell now, especially in this week's finale, and I'm like, yeah, he's a great actor. But you look at season 1, especially the early parts of season 1. Yeah, his acting it's not the sharpest. And that's why I'm willing to give Ruby Rose the benefit of the doubt, because this is her first lead performance. She's never been a lead before, so this is her first lead. And given the fact this is a TV series, that's going to give her a lot of room to breathe and a lot of room to grow, and expand her talent as an actress. And I have all the hope for the world for her. I really hope she does. I really want her to prove me wrong. It's just literally as it stands right now, everything I've seen her ever do, it's just she's never impressed me, and she didn't really impress me in Elseworlds either. So and in regards to my thoughts on the trailer, yeah, apart from Ruby Rose, which again I wasn't that impressed, I really like the tone. It seems very dark. It kind of reminded me of Arrow season 1 in regards to its tone, which I liked. Not a fan of the filter it has on top of it. I don't know why Arrow because Arrow does this all the time. Puts that filter on top of it. It looks. I know it's meant to obviously, but this show in particular make it look much darker, but it just looks ugly. Because it's just it really throws me off. But I do like the action. It seems quite good. Like I think Ruby Rose definitely has the physicality for it. She seems to be doing a good job with all that. And I do quite like the look of the story. It looks fairly interesting. And yeah, it definitely looks like it fits within the universe. So I think the trailer was a good start. And yeah, the early reactions have been pretty strong. So we're gonna have to wait and see how it all goes down, and how she fits into the Crisis crossover as well will be pretty cool. And given the fact we know that she's actually getting an episode, so yeah, I still can't believe this crossover is 5 hours long. That's pretty crazy. I mean, with Batwoman, and also it is nice to know, even though obviously I've hated Legends this season, it's nice to know that the Legends will be back in it next year.
And that's what I like about TV series, because if Crisis was a movie, like let's say in the DCU, it would be like what, 2.5 hours or 3 hours at most.
Yeah,
you get to take your time with it a bit more, and I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool that because this is I saw someone earlier today basically say that this is essentially the end game of the Arrowverse. Obviously not that the Arrowverse is ending. But it's just this is basically the end of this kind of thing we've all been building up to, and obviously there's kind of a similarity there because obviously we know that Oliver Queen's going to die in this as well, like Tony Stark dies in Endgame. Spoilers.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you've not seen Endgame already, you are just I don't know what you're doing with your life. But yeah, it's quite interesting. This is such a big event now. It's crazy that this is actually happening. And I'm just excited. But we'll talk about Crisis a bit later because we've got some tie-ins. So let's jump into our reviews. So we'll start off with, as we always do, with Supergirl episode 21. So Supergirl and Legends are essentially a week behind Arrow and Flash. So let's start off with you, Dan, because I know how much you love Supergirl. What did you think?
Oh god. Look, I'll say this episode was a lot better. Did enjoy it. I did enjoy it. We'll be very, very shocked to know. I think they did a good job setting up the finale. Really excited for that. I like that they brought the stuff they did with Red Daughter. I think Red Daughter has definitely really elevated this back half of the season because they've actually bothered to bring her in. And yeah, what they did with this episode, I thought was really good. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. I don't really have a lot to say about it, mainly because with Supergirl, I'm just not the most enthusiastic about it. But I certainly enjoyed this. Really good setup for the finale. I'm very excited for that. Yeah, I'm just excited to see how it all goes down.
Yeah, I thought this episode was pretty good. I mean, I've been a big supporter of Supergirl this season in the back half. I think this back half of season 4 has been actually great. I've really enjoyed it. I think there's just been like a lot of good stuff going on with the introduction of things like Red Daughter. Lex has been an incredible addition that I never thought would be as good as he is. But there's just like some really good moments in here, like stuff with Alex and Kara, like Alex actually finding out again that Kara is Supergirl. I also thought Lena was really good in this episode. What's going on with Brainy though? Like Brainy like essentially gets hit the reset button, and now he's like evil. Like what's going on with Brainy now?
Yeah, that came out of nowhere. That did. That was something that was like, ugh. So don't really know how I feel.
Is this supposed to be Supergirl's version of Brainiac? Is that what they're trying to do with this?
I got no clue
what they're doing, but I'm interested to see what they're doing with him. But yeah, like you said, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's interesting. And obviously, as you mentioned earlier, Dan, as well, obviously Ben Lockwood has been taking the Hyronel to apparently. Looks like
oh come on! That's like that. That's just like that was even worse. It's just like his character's now an idiot. They've turned his character into an actual idiot.
Ben Lockwood was the best part of this show in the first half. He was like the one shining light of brilliance among the shit that was season 4 at the beginning. But yeah, they've just ruined his character in the back half. But they do bring back Red Daughter in this episode. We do actually get to see Red Daughter and Kara fight in this, which was a really good fight actually. I really enjoyed the fight. It was kind of reminded me of the Reign Supergirl fight from season 3. Not quite as good, but it was still pretty good. But the way it ended, like Chyla Lee, once again, as I say every week, phenomenal. I love Chyla Lee in this show. I really do. She was amazing in this episode. Absolutely amazing. The scene where she was, crying over Kara because Kara nearly dies in this episode, seeing her react to that was fantastic.
Speaking of that, how did you guys feel about the whole Sun from Grass thing?
Bit odd.
Yeah.
Bit odd.
I thought that was just so. I was like, I literally rolled my eyes.
It was very. It's very dramatized.
Because number one, like we never even knew she could do that. Yeah. Like before, any sunlight from grass. So that just came out of nowhere. Yeah. I'm like, and it just. I don't know. I was just like, ugh.
It was a very like TV easy fix thing where they just kind of brought it in. It was like, oh, it's dark, so we can't get sunlight. Oh, well, the grass has sunlight. Okay, sure. It's like the type of science that the Flash uses sometimes, where you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, it's stuff that doesn't actually exist in the real world, so you just have to be like, okay, I guess so. You just have to kind of roll with it. It doesn't. It's like you look at it, like it doesn't actually make sense, but. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty dumb. But like,
very dumb.
We did get some good stuff with Alex though, which I did enjoy there. And we also had like Lex, who I find that Lex basically just like he was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna get the Kasnians to invade America, and then I'm just gonna kill them all. So like Lex has now made himself like the hero of the world, and he kills Red Daughter. Although Red Daughter's not actually dead. She is coming back next week. But I do like the setup for Lex, though. Like the way they're bringing Lex back for the finale, I'm happy with. Lex has been so good this season. Such a brilliant addition.
John Cryer, like I remember when that we always say this, but me and Declan do. But like when we saw that first photo of him, me and Declan were just like, oh. Yeah. But then it's like ever since then, it's just, oh yeah, we take it all back now. We take it all back.
I eat my words completely. Like Lex has been like the thing that this season has really shone with. Like I say, I really liked Agent Liberty at the start, and I think this back half has been great. But a lot of that honestly does come from John Cryer as Lex. Like his introduction, his story, and the way he's coming back in the finale. I really hope he's the full season 5 villain. I really do. I really hope that's what the season 4 finale kind of sets up.
Yeah, but you've already told me what happens.
Well, I don't know what actually in context that is. I don't actually know. I don't know what that means, but it might not be what we think it is. I'm just saying, based on the set photos, I don't know. I won't say that to you, Chris, in case you don't know, because it's potentially very spoilery.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not going to say what that is, but I said it last week on the podcast, but yeah, I'm not going to mention it again. But again, it's taken out of context, so I don't know what it actually means. Because I've also heard other things as well about what that is. So who knows? Overall, though, I thought it was a good episode. It was a decent episode. Oh well, Chris, what were your sort of overall thoughts?
Yeah, so I like the episode. Like this season, like for the past two seasons, season 3 and season 4, I've really liked. Like it made me like Supergirl a lot, because season 1 and season 2, I don't know. I couldn't get into the show, but from season 3 onwards, season 3 and season 4, I just really like. And I feel, yeah, not every episode is great. I just feel like the show is definitely, and this episode is another example of that. I pretty much like most things in the show. Can't really, apart from that ending with the whole grass thing, can't really think of anything else, any other negative really.
Yeah, it was a good episode on the whole, a good setup for the finale. And yeah, we'll just have to wait and see how this season eventually wraps up next week. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for the finale actually, especially just to see, where they take the season for its finale and how they set up season 5 and things. It could be pretty cool.
Yeah, and mainly Lex for me, just because I love Lex.
Yeah, he's so good.
Okay, so Michael Rosenbaum or this Lex?
Michael Rosenbaum, but I think like Jon Cryer though, like his Lex is very eccentric.
Yeah.
It's a very different, and it's not eccentric in the way that Jesse Eisenberg was eccentric, because that's just like, well, let's not talk about that.
Crack.
Yeah, like he was literally like hopped up on drugs, but like this Lex is like eccentric in a kind of feminine, but like really entertaining. He reminds me kind of like how John Barrowman would play it if he was cast as Lex. It kind of reminds me of that kind of thing, but I actually really like it, and I really like his look. I like the fact they've given Lex a beard. I think that's really cool. Because like, that's the thing. If you're bold, you need a beard. You need a beard to compensate.
Yeah.
So the fact they're giving Lex a beard, I like it. So yeah, I think this is a really good Lex. I mean, I think Michael Rosenbaum, obviously, he's like such an iconic Lex at this point.
Yeah. I'd say Michael Rosenbaum, just because of how much development he got over the course of Smallville, was just amazing, and I just loved his performance and how he was like a much more vulnerable Lex because of where he was in his life. So I'll always say that, but it still doesn't take away from Jon Cryer. Jon Cryer's been really good, brilliant as Lex.
He's been awesome. So moving over to Legends, Dan, you're on your own, mate.
Why am I on my own with this?
Well, I've only seen half the episode, so I'm not qualified to review it. Chris, so it's come on, Captain Green.
Captain Green. Oh, fuck off.
Captain McCance.
I really feel like skipping this.
No, you're being forced.
Why am I being? All right. This episode, along with typical Legends fashion, is absolute fucking dog shit. Like this episode, it just continues on the amazing streak of just being continuously awful. The only thing I liked about it was how it tied in to Constantine season 1, because there was the bit with Astra, where basically at the end of the episode, he's given the choice of saving Ray's soul or Astra's, and he chooses Astra. But because she's spent so much time in hell since Constantine season 1, she basically rejects him, and she basically just has him tortured, which I just, that was really cool, just because I love Constantine, and I just love the fact that they're bringing in that story arc and paying it off in this season, because it was one of the biggest cliffhangers of Constantine season 1. That was probably the only thing I liked about this entire episode, was just the whole what they were doing with Constantine, which was the only positive of last episode as well. But yeah, everything else was just awful comedy. Just didn't work at all. I really don't have a lot to say about it, just because it was just, apart from Constantine stuff, I just couldn't care less. And yeah, it's just like overabundance of just shit jokes. Like that's all this show is now. It's just comedy over story, and it's depressing at this point because it's just that bad. I just don't have a lot to say. I don't have a lot else to say, just other than it's shit, and the only good thing that's going to come out of this is we've got the finale next week, and it'll all be over.
Can we just listen to you just talk about Legends for the rest of the episode?
Oh yeah, it's quite depressing. I'll get them to ultra rant mode.
Yeah.
Ultra piss mode,
no,
but
I've seen half of it. I've seen half the episode. It was like I said, the Constantine stuff from what I saw I really enjoyed actually. Like actually going to hell, like exploring hell.
Yeah, that was like I said, the Constantine stuff was the only stuff I enjoyed. As soon as it cut away from that, I just couldn't care.
Yeah, because as soon as you cut, because that is actually based on the story. That's actually interesting. It's not all about the jokes. And then as soon as you cut back to book club, then I'm done. I mean, so you have like Gary, who's now using the fairy godmother, who's been for some reason brought back. Why I don't know. Who I realized in this episode while watching it, I noticed her performance is a striking resemblance and very clear representation of the fairy godmother from Shrek 2. I've noticed it's very, very similar to Jennifer Saunders' performance from Shrek 2. But yeah, so he's now in cahoots with her, and like basically Gary just wants friends. So he's like, they didn't let me on the team. They didn't let me on the Wave Rider. So now, he's like formed a book club with like Sarah and Ava and Nora, and then like he's now the captain of the Wave Rider. He's wearing Nate's suit, which really annoys me because Gary has worn Nate's suit more in this season than Nate has worn.
Yeah,
annoying. But yeah, I can't really say much about the episode because I haven't seen it all. So I have to. I quite like Brandon Routh in this though. I quite like Brandon Routh playing Neron. I think that's quite cool. It's just nice to see Brandon Routh like play the villain. That's quite cool. But other than that, yeah, Legends is still awful. Moving on. Moving on to The Flash, we have the season finale of The Flash, episode 22, Legacy. I will let Chris go for this one.
Right, cool. Yeah, I kind of wanted to go first for this one.
Sure,
right. So this season was okay. Before I say my thoughts on the episode, as a whole, 50-50 for me. Some episodes good, some episodes terrible. But this episode in particular, the finale, is, I tweeted about this the other day, one of my favorite Flash episodes. It's one of my favorite. Yeah, of all time. One of my favorite. It's not my number one favorite, but one of them. I love this episode because it had intensity. It had, obviously, you could feel the stakes there, drama, emotion. A few times, especially towards the end with Cisco, the Nora speech she gave at the end, like the very ending speech where we saw montage of all the other characters doing whatever they were doing. Yeah, that one. Nora actually fading away, because that was well acted by Grant Gustin and Candice Patton. Yeah. So I felt the emotion there. It was very emotional. The only thing I'll say about this episode is that Cicada stuff, it did feel kind of rushed.
Yeah, it was almost as if they just wanted to get rid of that so they could get to the good stuff with Thorn.
The good stuff which was of course Reverse Flash, and I feel like the reason why it's one of my favorite episodes is because of how they focused the finale on the Reverse Flash and not the Cicada. I feel like if they focused on the Cicada, I wouldn't have liked it as much, because I've not been a big fan of Cicada.
I don't think anybody has.
So, yeah, like the Reverse Flash, in my opinion, has been the most interesting parts of the whole season. So I'm glad that he was the focus of the finale, really.
Yeah, I think like actually focusing on to me, it feels very obvious. I said this to Dan last week, but I feel like Cicada, it still baffles me that this character has lasted this long. Like,
exactly.
It lasted the entire season, because it's just like, and it feels to me as if maybe they did want to get rid of Cicada like a while ago, but they just, purely to spite the fans, to prove them wrong, they were like, no, we're going to drag it out this whole season, and that's why we got Grace as Cicada, because I've never liked this idea of having Grace as Cicada, like this future, because it felt so random. It was just like, it felt so forced. And I feel like they should have just like killed Orlan and then just moved on, and just then we could have really focused on the Eobard Thorn stuff. But yeah, having Eobard like really in the forefront of this episode was great. Tom Cavanaugh playing him again, awesome.
Like I prefer Tom Cavanaugh in Reverse Flash ahead of Matt Letcher.
I do as well.
Yeah, like Tom Cavanaugh, yeah. And I feel like this finale just why I like the Flash from season 1, season 2, because it just reminded me, because like I think I tweeted about this about a few months ago, that I just I rewatched the Flash season 1 premiere, and I was just upset because of how much the show has fallen from that.
Yeah.
So seeing this episode now, it just brought me pure joy, because it just took me back to those days of season 1 and season 2. And technically now looking back at it, season 3 wasn't all that bad compared to season 4 and.
Oh, it was messy in places though.
Yeah, it was messy. And I'm not saying season 3 was perfect by anyone, but I'm just saying I appreciate season 3 more after 4 and 5.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the finale. It's probably my favorite episode of this week that we had. Yeah. Probably for me, it edges out Supergirl. I like I say, I just loved how, so the only thing I didn't like was just how rushed the Cicada section felt. It did feel as if they wanted to get to Reverse Flash stuff. But whereas with Arrow, they rushed for the first segment to get to something that ended up being pretty underwhelming for me personally. Here, it felt like I could understand why they wanted to do that, because the way they used Reverse Flash, and like as soon as you get past the Cicada section, after that, the episode is brilliant. Like it's truly amazing. Just having Tom Cavanaugh's Reverse Flash is fantastic, and just seeing them in the final action sequence with Barry and Nora chasing after him, and then you have Team Flash come in. It just reminded me of why I loved the first 2 seasons. It just reminded me of that in tone. Have them going after a speedster, feel like it was the big bad. It just reminded me of all of that, and then just the emotional moments, like you said, with Nora fading away. That was really, really emotional, and then like her final message as well, and the Cisco and Caitlin scene. It got so much emotion out of me, and. I feel like it's kind of fitting in a way, because I really enjoyed the premiere of this season. I thought the premiere was really, really good. And then, the season in itself ended up being very 50-50. But then to end on this stronger note, I think this is the best finale we've had since season 2, easily, for the Flash.
I would agree with that. I'll still say that the season 1 finale was the best finale.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, for me, the same. But yeah, I just really enjoyed this episode. Other than the Cicada stuff, like, some of the stuff where it was like they tried to, inject with the cube. It's like, oh, it's not working on it because the dark matter has overridden it. That just felt stupid. And then the scene where you've got the 2 Orlans and it's just Chris Klein's acting. Jesus Christ!
What annoys me about that though is that the whole Chris Klein thing, like in this episode, and we said this. I think it was episode 12, where we said this as well. Like when Chris Klein is just acting normal, he's actually all right. Like he's actually a decent actor, but when he's like, it's just when he
puts on the voice, voice.
When he puts on the voice, and he's like this, it's just like, why? Like, you're so less threatening than when you just talk normally. Like because he seems so grounded and so real and like so down to earth, and just seems like an actual human being when he talks normally.
I feel like he's just trying too hard.
Yeah, he's trying way too hard. It's like it's so overcooked. But I did love this episode as well. I thought this episode was absolutely awesome, which again I didn't expect, given the fact that I've really not liked this season. Minus a couple of episodes here and there. Because there have been some good stuff in this season. Like as Dan said, I think the premiere was awesome. Episode 15 was great. 18 was great. But this episode, it just it did feel like a season 1 Flash episode. It felt like that true fun, superhero comic book nature show that season 1 really embodied, which I really enjoyed, especially focusing on Reverse Flash. And what I really liked about Reverse Flash in this episode is that his master plan, when it's kind of finally revealed, like it actually is really clever.
Yeah, and it's also very twisted. Like when you find out what he's done with Nora, and like basically he set her up to write her out of existence. That was like, he was so good.
Like the fact that like he had the cicada dagger strapped to him, which is why because this whole time he's been in prison, this entire season, you've been like, surely he would be able to get out at this point. Like surely there'll be some way somehow that he'd be able to get out. Knowing Eobard, knowing what he can do. And then you find out that obviously the dagger has been dampening his powers the entire time. And his whole plan was like to train Nora, manipulate her, get her to run back in time to create another cicada so that they could then spend this entire season trying to destroy the dagger. So he would then be allowed to escape and then Nora would be erased because of the new timeline. Like, it's such a clever plan. And again, it perfectly sums up why Eobard Thawne is such a fantastic villain. And this episode just absolutely reinstated that. And God, I just miss Reverse Flash. I miss him.
I really do. And also, technically now, Reverse Flash has now essentially killed 2 Noras.
Yep.
Oh.
That hurt. That hurt, Chris.
Yeah.
Neither me, Dan, or the audience asked to be attacked in that such manner.
That's why I should bring it up.
But there was just some really good stuff, like especially seeing like when Thawne actually does escape. Which can I just say, that guard who asked the Flash Museum to give the ring to be buried with Eva, what an idiot! Like, why would you do that? Anyway, we do get to see the Flash ring like animation with the Reverse Flash again, which was cool. And then he goes around like kills all those guards in one swoop. That was great. But then like they do that thing that they did in the season 4 finale where like you think your TV's frozen for a second, and then like it just all like reverses because Nora reverses time. Really cool. I like that. And like you say, I do think all the cicada stuff was a little rushed. Like you say, the whole thing when like Grace takes the cure and then like, oh, it doesn't work because the dagger of dark matter and all that. That was really dumb. Kind of like the Supergirl sunlight grass thing. You're just like, okay, it's dumb, but sure, whatever. Honestly, one of my favorite things about this entire season, about this entire episode, is how it all wraps up. I think this episode wraps up and sets up season 6 super well. Not only because you have like the big fight with Thawne at the end, which I have to say is so well done. The way that Team Flash all use their powers, individually to work together, it was like absolutely awesome. Like seeing like Ralph use his powers, Cisco, Caitlin, and then like Barry and Nora use like the lightning punch at the end. Like, and I mean Iris had a gun, but yeah. But like seeing them all use their powers individually and also in tandem was awesome. It reminded me a lot of the opening action sequence from Avengers: Age of Ultron, where they're all kind of using each other's powers to like benefit each other. It kind of reminded me of that. It was really awesome, like just to see all of Team Flash like fully formed against the Reverse Flash. I love that. It was great. But my favorite thing about this episode, like I say, it's just how it all kind of wraps up. Like Nora gets erased. You have that great scene, like I say, with Grant and Candace's acting, really sold it. And also like her message at the end is really good as well. Like Jessica Parker Kennedy, like although I've not loved Nora this season, I have really liked her as an actress. I just think it's her material. She's not been that great to work with, but some of the stuff. So we have like Sherlock leave. Which I mean, we all knew Sherlock was going to leave at the end of the season, but he basically goes back to the Earth that he sent Renee Adler to, so he's going to go live with her and have his happy ending there, which is all nice and all fine and dandy. He basically hands his detective mantle to Ralph, which I really liked, because the characters on the show seem to forget how smart Ralph is.
I forgot as well. I'm not going to lie.
Like everyone seems to forget that Ralph's a detective as well.
I generally forgot he was a detective.
Because he's the one who solved this whole thing. And even Sherlock says that. He's like, Ralph did all this, And I really like the fact he kind of hands him the mantle, which is nice. And also, speaking of Ralph, he goes back to his office and he has a certain file sat there.
Dibney.
Yeah, from Mrs. Dearborn, which is the maiden name of Sue Dibney in the comics. So we're getting Sue Dibney next season then, I guess is what that means.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy for that because obviously I really like them as a couple in the comics, so it's nice we're going to be getting that in the next season, and just because we're giving Ralph, something more to do, like because Ralph's been like served the dirty this season, like especially last episode when everyone just refused to believe him. I'm just like, nah, I'm not accepting this. Team Flash just hates everyone that's new.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember or have you heard of the story from DC Comics, Identity Crisis?
I've heard of it.
Yeah.
It basically revolves around who killed Sue Dibney.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's not bad anyway. And I read it a few years ago. It's actually a very good story. You guys should check it out. But yeah, I feel like at the Flash show in season, what are we on now? Season 5. Wait, season 6 the next season, yeah?
Yeah.
6, they should obviously introduce Sue Dibney, and then maybe for season 7 they should do something along the lines like an identity crisis, like adapt that storyline to the Flash season 7.
And then you can actually have an actual like detective story with Ralph. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I have to say, Ralph, like even though he's not been super well used in this season, I have to say they've really done a lot of good work with his character though. Ralph was not a very well liked character last season. I liked him quite a lot personally.
Yeah, I liked him last season,
but a lot of people didn't. Like I know, like our friend of the show, Ben, the DCTV show, he was not a fan of Ralph at all last season, and I know a lot of people weren't either. A lot of people just didn't find his style of character very appealing. But in this season, I think they've turned Ralph into a great character. I think he's been really strong. He's always been the MVP for me. Just the way he's just been really competent. He's just been a true kind of character, and I've enjoyed that. And if we're gonna get even more to do with that, with Sue Dibney coming in next season, that would be really awesome. And Joe gets promoted to captain.
Yeah, boy.
Joe, he looks good in that suit. He's rocking that. He's I felt proud. I felt proud to see Joe stood at that desk, Cecile by his side, sings passed on the mantle. Sing also knew Barry was the Flash because obviously he did. But oh my god, I'm so happy Joe is captain. Like, you don't understand how happy this makes me. I love Joe so much as a character, and just to see him there, I'm like, yes, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and then also when like Singh just casually reveals that he knows that Barry's the Flash, and I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
it's
just like you look at it, you're just like, yeah. I mean, obviously he knew, obviously. And then we also have the sort of final scene to talk about, which has caused a lot of speculation online, especially with me as well. Cisco leaves, I guess.
Sort of.
I don't know.
Yeah. When I saw this scene, I didn't see this scene as Cisco leaving the show. Obviously, there was rumors and much speculation before the finale that he was gonna leave in this episode. I didn't really see that scene as him saying that he's leaving, but I've heard a lot of people say after the finale that that's technically him saying goodbye.
See, part of me thinks it is him, and part of that he is leaving, and part of me thinks it isn't, because obviously this is a big goodbye scene, like between him and Caitlin. And out of all the characters to give this scene to, I'm glad it was Caitlin, because Caitlin literally has been with Cisco for so many years. If they would have done it with Barry, it would have been fine, but it wouldn't have been the most appropriate. Caitlin was absolutely the best choice, and I'm so glad they went with it, because it was such a special moment. Like this was honestly for me the most emotional scene in the episode was between Cisco and Caitlin, because because to me that felt like the way he was speaking, saying, thank you for being such a good friend.
Yeah.
I'm moving on, sort of thing. I've left you a gift in the lab. It didn't feel like, and I read an article about this, which I'll quote the article here. It didn't sound like I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess what you mean. I get what you mean by saying that. I guess I just didn't put too much thought into it when I was.
But also on the other hand, while it does sound like that, it feels strange that we didn't see like a goodbye scene with Barry. Because Barry is equally as much of a good friend to Cisco as Caitlin is, and Cisco has been, arguably the second lead of the show since the beginning, and the fact he doesn't get a proper send off, it does feel a bit strange. Maybe what's happening is just like maybe he'll be a recurring role next season. Maybe he'll only come in a couple times, like because obviously I'm sure we will see Cisco again.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
there's been no official announcement though. That's the thing. There's been no official announcement saying that Carlos Valdez has left the show, which you'd think there probably would be, because normally these shows, they do have official sort of press releases about these things as and when they happen. Like I remember, like, if you look like Arrow season 6, they had the Paul Blackthorne one when he left and things like that. So I'm surprised there isn't, and that again makes me think maybe there isn't. It's just that scene with Caitlyn, like it seemed so definitive to me.
Yeah.
It's strange. But Caitlyn does get a new suit as well. We don't see the suit, which is a bit odd.
Yeah, because they probably haven't made it yet.
Yes, they haven't made it yet. So Killer Frost will get a new suit. That was like Cisco's final present, which is obviously that's a very Cisco present to leave as a new suit. And then the very, very last scene, we got a little post-credit scene, which was our Crisis tease. We go into the Time Vault. We get to see the Flash Missing Vanishes in Crisis newspaper that obviously we've seen from the pilot. And the date changes from 2024 to 2019. We don't see the specific date because obviously they don't want to give themselves a release date just yet. But it does say 2019. So this basically does confirm a theory that we all kind of knew anyway, which was that Crisis on Infinite Earths is the Crisis event that has been referenced since Flash season 1. So this is cool. Obviously, this basically is just like Arrow had a Crisis tease. So this was Flash's. Supergirl's going to get one as well. I wonder if Legends will get one.
I don't really think it will, because with it taking place like everywhere in time, it'd be a bit hard to have it make sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Be interesting if it does. But yeah, this is our little Crisis tease. So like, what does this do for you guys, like in regards to Crisis?
It's kind of I wouldn't say it like blew me away that much, only because we'd all been saying how we all thought that the Crisis event we'd be getting this year would be the Crisis that that Barry goes missing in. So it was nice to get the confirmation of that, but it wasn't like I didn't get mad hyped over it, but it was still nice to see nevertheless.
Yeah, it was cool. Also, because we did also get like another technical little Crisis tease earlier on in the episode when Eobard Thawne like says to Barry,
yeah,
Crisis.
Which basically confirms he's going to be there. I hope he is.
Yeah, which makes sense. Like he should be there.
He should, because he was in the news article.
Yeah. So he should be there. So it's cool that he's basically saying, because obviously this version of Eobard Thawne is from the future. So he's like saying, I'll see you in Crisis, which is pretty cool. I like that. Because it is basically just confirming that Reverse Flash will be in there, which is nice to have this early on. But yeah, this was a very strong finale, I think. Very good episode. Just had the good sort of season 1 Flash feeling to it, and it felt like the season ended on a high. I think the season did end on a high overall. Yeah. I think once you get to like episode 18, it kind of did get quite a bit better as it went on.
Yeah. Other than Grace.
Yeah. I mean, like, the episodes before all that were very rocky. It was very up and down. There's been some real stinkers this season. Like episode 14, which was dreadful. Episode 11, which was bad. And a lot of it does come down to the fact that we've just had to stretch out the Cicada storyline. But this was a good send off. I don't want to talk about the whole season too much, because we will be doing full season episodes in the next coming weeks after all the shows have wrapped up. So we will be doing like a full Flash season 5 review, and same for Arrow, Supergirl, Legends. But yeah, it was a good send off, I think.
It's something that I've realized a lot. Like regarding shows, they tend to like doing season 5 finale episodes very good. Because for me personally, the season 5 finale of Arrow is my favorite all-time episode.
I back that. I agree with that. Me too.
Yeah.
For me, of any show.
Oh.
Personally, of any show. And then followed up by the season 5 finale of, like, that is my second favorite episode. And now we have
Sorry, you cut out for me.
Shield season 5 finale.
Okay.
Second favorite episode. And then the Flash season 5 finale is also one of my favorite episodes of the Flash. So I don't know why shows, to me at least, they seem to like doing very good. I don't know why, but it's funny.
Yeah, I'll back your Arrow season 5 thing there. It's probably maybe my favorite episode of TV ever as well. Well, Arrow, just like Arrow is my favorite show of all time, and that episode is my favorite Arrow episode. So
yeah, exactly. And it's not even. It just had everything. It had tension.
Honestly, I would be happy, like if Arrow, because Arrow originally was only ever meant to be a 5-year show. If they ended Arrow with that episode, I would be fine with it.
Yeah, I would have been fine with it. Even
you'd have to tweak the ending probably a little bit, but
a little bit.
Other than that, definitely. It would have been fine. I would have been so happy if that was the final ever episode.
Would have been so happy, but obviously we got 3 more seasons, which I'm happy about. But that episode though just had everything: intensity, drama, just action. It had the return of Deathstroke, my favorite villain. Just had everything, man. And also Prometheus, who was, in my opinion, the second best Arrowverse villain.
I'm just gonna say this, and I think I don't know if Dan will back me up on this. I know obviously he's a huge fan, but in my opinion, Prometheus is the best villain of the Arrowverse. He's my favorite villain of the Arrowverse.
I'd say Deathstroke is a little bit better just because of the further development we got with him in season 1. Really helped fuel that friendship with him and Oliver, and then like seeing them in the present day hate each other so much, and then seeing their turn. I think that's what gives Deathstroke the edge for me personally. Whereas with Adrian, they kind of had to cram it into one season, so it didn't feel as strong, like the connection between him and Oliver, and so that betrayal didn't really hit as hard.
So for me, Deathstroke 1, Prometheus 2, Reverse Flash 3.
I really hope I don't know if this will happen, but I really hope for the end of Arrow we get another Adrian Chase cameo. Please.
Missed the guy.
He did get name dropped in the finale this week, which I did enjoy. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Diggle name drops him. Yeah, they talk about. I can't remember exactly what the conversation was.
Like how personal Emiko's like assault on Oliver is, and like how it's more personal than what Chase did.
I remember.
Yeah, so I did appreciate that. At least Chase is still kicking around in the minds of the characters. But anyway, let's jump over to Arrow then. We had the season finale of Arrow season 7, entitled "You Have Saved This City." I do like that title a lot. Now I'm gonna let Dan because I know Dan is chomping at the gates here. I need to allow you to unload here.
Oh yeah. So this finale of Arrow, complete underwhelming shit, man. Underwhelming shit. What the fuck did they do with this finale? Like what was going through Beth Schwartz's head when she wrote this episode? Like, you can split this into 2. First 20 minutes is just a rushed, shitty attempt to end the Ninth Circle / Emiko story. Like Emiko, like all of a sudden turns good.
Yeah.
And it feels so out of place. I mean, Oliver's points to her made sense, but her turn made no sense. And then we get this Beatrice character who shows up, who we have never seen before, who literally shows up only to kill off Emiko. Like, she throws a knife at her, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to fight just fine. And then she gets chucked through a wall, and she dies. Like, what the fuck was that? What happened there? Whose idea was that to write that thing? Like, that was shit. And then, like, that whole gas, like, that they were trying to emit, what happened with that? That kind of really went nowhere other than one scene where it gets sprayed, and then it's kind of, like, just completely forgotten about. The whole SCPD going after Team Arrow, it's kind of wasted because it's like, oh, we're hunting you down. And then all of a sudden they change their minds, and it's like, oh, they've forgiven us, even though 2 cops are dead. Yay. Like, that didn't make sense. And then the last 20 minutes is just bullshit Olicity fan fiction. It was super elongated. You could have cut all of this down to 10 minutes easily. And just the music they play over it is awful. I hated it so much. The only thing I liked about the last 20 minutes was the monitor stuff. That was cool. That was about it. I like the shot where the bunker just slowly shuts off, and then you've got Oliver in the middle. They should have ended it with that, and I would have been happy. I would have been fine. It would have been perfect. Flash forward, suck balls. Terrible. They've been terrible all season. It just didn't care about them. Catherine McNamara is bad actress. Black Star's rubbish. We finally got rid of Felicity. That's the only positive. I could have gone into this far worse, but I'm going to limit myself because it's getting towards 10 o'clock at night, and I don't want to wake up my parents.
Go on, Chris. I'll let you go.
Oh, so yeah, this is not my favorite finale. I'll put it like that. It's not the worst either.
I put it level with season 3 finale for disappointment.
Like for me, the worst finale was
season 4.
Season 4, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it wasn't to that level, but still very disappointing for this season.
Yeah, it was disappointing, and it's funny, yeah, because Flash all season has been mixed, but then season 5 just hit it. Whereas Arrow is the opposite for me. Arrow has been good all season, and then the season.
Oh. This is where I slightly skew off, because for me, I really loved the first 8 episodes of the season. I thought they were fantastic, and then literally after then, as soon as Oliver got out of jail and the slab side stuff was kind of done with, I honestly think this season has been pretty inconsistent afterwards. Like, there's not been a single stretch where I feel like we've had really good episodes. Like, the Dante stuff kind of got rushed and completely thrown away for nothing. Diaz, they tried to do shit with him afterwards and it went nowhere. I didn't really. I mean, season 7's been good, but when you take into account the first 8 episodes, it should have been far better than it was.
I can agree with you on that, because for me, my favorite part of the season was the first half of the season from 1 to 7 when Oliver was in prison. Yeah. I agree. But I would say though that season 7 is better than.
Oh, it's better than 6. It's better than season 6 easily.
Yeah, definitely. But the finale though, yeah, it was definitely a letdown. It was rushed. I felt like the Emiko death was kind of corny, and she just changed. Yeah, that after you tried to kill Oliver and his friends, dropped the whole building. There's no coming back from that. I don't get it. So yeah, just the way she just turned so quickly, like, oh, okay, I forget everything that I did to you, and let me just help you. It was just rushed. What can you do? It's done.
Do you think we'll ever see that Beatrice character again? We'll just never show.
Oh yeah. Yeah, when I saw her, I was like, who is she? Like,
I was like, have we seen her before?
Everyone was like, who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is that?
Yeah, everyone just showed up. We were like, huh? I actually thought, I was like, is this like our season 8 villain? I was like, is that what this is meant to be?
I feel like the Ninth Circle are going to be the season 8 villain, because technically they're still out there.
Yeah, I want to think that, but then you consider the fact that the season's only 10 episodes long. They've got Crisis, and it's the final season of Arrow. I really don't see how they would fit in the Ninth Circle and wrap it up effectively.
Okay,
unless they do, because we know that Diggle, Renee, and Dinah are still going to be operating as vigilantes. So unless that's literally what they're dealing with for at least the first few episodes or something.
Yeah, maybe that's what I think will happen. Of that. So, what do you think? Like, Oliver? Do you think that Oliver will be with Team Arrow at any point next season besides the Crisis?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Do you know? I think this season is going to be very comparable. I think season 8 is going to be very comparable to season 7's first half, where Oliver is going to be segregated on his own in a different. He'll be with the Monitor doing his own thing, and then we'll cut back to Diggle, Renee, and Dinah doing their own thing in Star City, operating and things like that. Because I just don't see how Oliver is going, because Oliver's gone. Like, at this point, Oliver's gone. So like, I don't know how that would actually happen until he comes back eventually with Crisis to deal with all of
that. Are we still going to see flash forwards next year?
I hope not. I hope not.
Yeah, I mean they've not been.
I heard that they're still going to be doing the flash forwards.
Bess Schwartz said, as long as Arrow continues, the flash forwards will continue. So you'd have to think so. And plus, based on this episode, they kind of set up this thing now where they're like, okay, all the old characters have left, and they're now passing on the mantle, to this new team. So basically, you've got like Mia is essentially Green Arrow, Connor is essentially Spartan, William is essentially Overwatch, and then Zoe is Black Canary.
Yeah.
And then that's your future Team Arrow right there.
Kill me now.
I mean, the thing is, I feel bad for the future characters because the actors themselves, like, they are so passionate about this, and they seem really fun on social media. But it's just like these flash forwards, they've just not been very good. And this episode again, the flash forward is not very cool. I mean, I think the action sequence on the wall was pretty cool. It was pretty fun to look at, but it still wasn't really that exciting because I just don't care about Mia. But it's just like the rest of it. I mean, yeah, it's cool having like this new form Team Arrow, but again, we haven't really spent enough time with these characters to really feel like it's been earned. Like because characters like Connor has barely really been in the season.
Yeah.
Zoe was kind of prominent at the start and then completely fell off. Mia only came in halfway through, and William's kind of the same as Zoe. He was very prominent in the first half and then completely shoved aside in the second half. So it's a strange team. Like it's a strange kind of mix of characters that we don't really know that much about. So going into season 8, it's kind of like, do I really care enough about this? And also, are we going to be wasting crucial time? We've only got 10 episodes left. Are we wasting crucial time with this future storyline, which ultimately doesn't matter? And like, when we could be spending other time, wrapping up the storyline. Like, it feels a bit strenuous to me. But in regards to this episode, I think, the whole Emiko thing was completely rushed, and it proves to me why this was such a bad decision to make Emiko the main villain. It's just it doesn't work. You don't buy it, and like you say, as soon as they try and introduce this whole redemption thing, they try to redeem her in one scene. It's like, you haven't earned it. Like you say, it's literally, you dropped a building on Oliver and everybody. You're irredeemable at this point. You cannot come back from that. And the fact they try and redeem her in that one thing, you're like, no, doesn't work. I don't buy it. And then as soon as I kind of kick into everything else, I have to say, like, as an Arrow fan, I got super emotional in this episode. I don't know about you, Chris, but I got super super emotional in this episode.
Which part?
Essentially, as soon as we got back to the bunker, from that point on.
Because we're never going to see the bunker again.
Well, I honestly think that shot of the bunker closing down is amazing. I think that shot is beautiful. Like the way it all closes off, the way the lights are all going down, and Steven, it's just Oliver's face just looking directly down the camera, and then it cuts to black. Honestly, that, like you say, that should have been the final shot of the episode.
What was the final? Oh yeah, the Felicity.
Yeah. And they should have, because to me, this episode honestly felt like a series finale.
It is in a way, because it's not.
It is in a way, yeah.
It's not, because next season is not going to be the same thing that we know.
Yeah, it's like, this is literally the end of Arrow as we know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way that was kind of being represented. But that was a beautiful shot to me, and that got to me. Because Arrow makes me cry super easily. So I was gone with that scene. But then as we move on, obviously we'll talk about some of the other stuff now. Obviously have Oliver and Felicity inside of the house that we saw in episode 16, and the Monitor shows up, and we have the Monitor talking about how Oliver is going to die in Crisis. This is officially confirmed now. He says, I've seen your death. You die in the Crisis. So what do you think about them, like, officially, like, just confirming this straight up?
It could be changed.
I don't think it'll be changed. Nah.
It could. Well, why does she go for a breach in the final second?
Well, here's the thing. There's kind of like a heaven-esque place in the Crisis comic.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where Oliver is. I think as far as the world is concerned, as far as Star City is concerned, Oliver is dead. But he is living in like this tranquil world, this other reality where it's almost like his reward for, everything he's done throughout the years and everything he's sacrificed. He had to sacrifice his own life. He had to sacrifice, being the father to Mia and things like that.
Yeah. You know what would be a real... Oh, yeah, sir. Go on.
No, go on. Sorry.
A real kick in the gut. It was if in the final episode of our season 10, we see he's in that place, and then he's with Moira, Robert Queen, everyone that he's lost.
I would honestly adore that. Like,
yeah.
if I've been saying this for ages, can we please bring back Moira? Moira is such a good character. Honestly, that would be like the dream, wouldn't it? Because Stephen Amell said this. He said he wants to try and bring back as many people as he can for this last season. If we see like every character who's ever died in that. Like we get like Earth One Laurel. What about if he's with Earth One Laurel?
Yes, get in, boys. Get in, boys.
But like you have Laurel there, Tommy there, Robert, Moira, Shadow.
Shut up! I missed her, man.
Adrian.
Yes. Adrian. That is the dream right there. Like what an amazing final shot that would be, you know. It always would be like the end game shot.
I feel like the last shot we will see in Arrow will be Oliver and Felicity together. Somehow. I feel like
if that happens, I give up on life. I will kill myself.
I can just see that right now.
Well, looks like
that right now.
Wow, looks like you're gonna have to find a new co-host then, Declan.
I honestly, I would be so happy if the final shot was just Oliver and Moira. I love Moira so much. But like, I think that's a great idea, though, Chris. Like, I would love to see that. It'd be such a perfect thing, especially because, like you say, the very last shot of this episode is going back to the future storyline. Felicity meeting up with the Monitor in the future, saying, I'm ready to, go back to him, and she goes through what looks like a breach. So she's gonna go meet up with Oliver. So like, Oliver is clearly still alive in some regard. We just don't know what that regard is. Which is interesting, but we'll have to wait and see how that all kind of plays out. I have to say though, the scene with Oliver and Felicity at the very end when Oliver has to say goodbye to her was very good, very well acted. Despite
I couldn't get emotional because the music really was off-putting. It was too off-putting, and also it felt very elongated to me. It kind of felt a bit too drawn out.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't actually notice the music in that scene.
It was off-putting to me, just because I think. It just stood out way too much. It took over the focus for me, which should have been the acting. It didn't
bother me too much, mainly because I was super just sucked into it all.
Yeah, but you cry at everything that's Arrow. Something happens on screen that's nostalgic. Declan's there crying, his eyes out. His parents are like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?"
Yeah, like that's what I mean though. Like I understand that, and I'm literally just like, it doesn't. But I did notice it, and I was like, yeah, this is like very on the nose and very emotionally manipulative. Because that's exactly what this is. Like you play that kind of music. It reminded me of like Doctor Who last season, episode 3, with Rosa on the bus when they played.
Yeah.
They just blared that like song just as she was. Yeah. Like it was very like that for me. But I still thought like Stephen Amell's acting was amazing. I think Emily Bett was really good in the episode with this scene. And I do have to say though, this is again another thing Oliver has done and just not told Felicity about. It's just like him going to prison, and then this again where now he's gonna have to go with the Monitor.
I can't believe you lied to me again.
Imagine we got that replication of the season 4 crossover argument. It just played again.
Fuck no.
I can't believe you've lied to me just now. But I still thought this scene was great. And then him finally going off with the Monitor and stuff like that. What baffles me is I literally have no idea what they're doing next season.
Yeah, that's the thing. No idea.
Not a clue. I cannot predict it. Like I say, we all kind of know in a way that obviously Oliver is going to be off doing something.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what that is. Like, obviously, there's a lot of people predicting that he's going to be. I mentioned this earlier, but he's going to be playing the role of the Harbinger in the comics, who essentially goes around to all the different Earths and basically is recruiting heroes from the multiverse. Which is why we could see people like the Earth 90, Green Lantern, John Diggle.
That's possible.
Can we actually get the Earth 90 Flash and he can show up for more than 5 minutes?
He can actually do something.
Explain where he went when he vanished just randomly.
Can we get a random Earth version of Adrian Chase, please?
Yeah, please.
Tommy Merlin as the Dark Archer. Do you think we're going to get Tommy next season, given the fact that Colin Donnelly is now available?
I think he'll definitely appear, but people saying, he's going to be a series regular. No.
He's not going to be a series now. He'll definitely appear. Especially, I'd like to think he will appear in the finale.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely appear in the finale. I think we're going to see a lot of characters return, and we're going to get a lot of cool stuff. I mean, we actually got quite a lot of characters returning in this episode. Also, we got Laurel coming back actually as the Black Canary. She got nothing to do in the episode, but
should have got. That pissed me off. That pissed me off that they did nothing with her.
But we do know she is coming back next season, so we're gonna have to see.
Yeah. Can she just replace Dinah? Can Dinah just fuck off somewhere?
Dinah's been a big problem this season. They need to sort that out. But we even got Curtis returning in this episode, which I really enjoyed having Curtis in this episode actually.
Yeah, it was nice having him back, but again, didn't really do a whole lot
other than much. But I just enjoyed having his personality back because I always liked Curtis. He was always the most irrelevant cast member, but I always enjoyed him. And then we also got Bronze Tiger as well, who I loved. I'm so surprised he didn't die.
Yeah, I was convinced he was going to die. As soon as him and Diggle had the conversation about Connor, all right, we'll take him in too. I'm like, oh yeah, he's dying.
I was like, yeah,
and he doesn't.
So dead. I was like, and he just doesn't. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they forget.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they forget, where it's like they just think it's Diggle's son in the future. It's like, yeah, because they got the same actor for whatever fucking reason.
Tiger will die in Crisis.
That'd be a weird death in Crisis, though. To kill Bronze. If Bronze Tiger would have died in this episode, it would have been so appropriate.
Yeah, it would have. Yeah.
And because they need to set up this storyline of Diggle adopting Connor. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, probably should have died in this episode.
They should have done it in this episode, especially because Bronze Tiger has been so relevant this season.
Yeah.
Bronze Tiger for me has been the MVP. Him and Laurel have been the MVP of this season.
Yeah.
So they should have killed him in this. I mean, I'm not.
Oh, he's so great this season. Fucking kill him.
I'm not saying I want him to die because, like I say, I think he's a great character, especially in this season. He's been so good. In the prison arc, episode 7, which I still say episode 7 is the best episode of the season.
Oh yeah, easily.
Redemption.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Arrow episodes of all time.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and so it just felt right for him to die in this episode, but he just didn't, and it just confuses me. But like I say, he has to die next season at some point unless they forget. And then I think overall this episode, like I say, it's very rushed in the first half, and then it's a very crisis heavy setup in the second half. And part of me is kind of sad that next season's going to be so crisis heavy, because I kind of want, obviously this being my favorite show, I kind of want it to be very focused on itself for the final season, but it seems like that's not the case.
I feel like we've got that this season. But this season is the final season of Arrow. Next season is Crisis season.
Could be. It could be, but I don't know. It's going to be very interesting how they approach season 8 more than anything, with the fact that also they've got only 10 episodes to do it in.
This season finale was quite underwhelming, and it just, I mean, Dan, you've been saying this for weeks now, but yeah, season 7 peaked way too soon, way too soon, because that first half, the prison arc was so good. During those first 7-8 episodes, I remember we were like, this is the best Arrow's been since season 2.
Yeah, easily.
At that point, it was so good. The
prison arc, I would have said it was on par with season 5. Not said it was as.
I think when you look at if you look at the first 7 episodes of first 7 to 8 episodes of season 5 and season 7, I think season 7 far outranks season 5.
Yeah, because with season 5 it was good, but I feel like season 5 spent a lot of its time course correcting season 4. And so, but whereas with this, it felt like it just stuck with something, and it was so different and fresh. And they just did such a great job of expanding Slabside and really just opening up, the world of Arrow. And I just loved having all of it with this, his different interactions. It just felt fresh and different, and I feel like it'd be far more rewatchable to me than the first half of Arrow season 5. Because although I admittedly really like season 5, and the start is good. Like I say, it's just a lot of it is very much them just course correcting season 4.
Yeah, because season 5 really doesn't kick into gear until you get to episode 15. Because once you get, I mean, it's still good. It's still really good, season 5, for pretty much all of it. But it's just episode 15 when you get that Prometheus reveal. Because season 5 is all about Prometheus. As soon as you get that Prometheus reveal, it just skyrockets. And everything becomes so much more investing and so much more entertaining. so like for me, when you look at like those first early episodes of season 5, while good, I think they're just not as interesting as what we had in season 7 because they were just, again, that prison arc. It was so refreshing. It was so different. It was so interesting. Because it was a different cast of characters as well. It wasn't the typical characters that we're used to. We had obviously villains this time. Like we had like bringing back Brick. I loved having Vinnie Jones back. We had obviously Bronze Tiger, had Cody Rhodes in there, and they even brought back Talia al Ghul, who I never thought we'd see again. She was the demon, and that was really cool. So like they had all these really awesome elements. So yeah, season 7, like again, we'll do a full season 7 review when we get to it. But it was a very strong start, and then it just kind of like trickled out as the season went on to an underwhelming end. I mean, there were some good episodes here and there. Like episode 13 was great.
Episode 12 was great.
Episode 12 was great. 13 really stands out to me. The Stanley episode.
Yeah.
Stanley was a great character, and again, that we wouldn't have got that episode without the prison arc, you know. So it's just really cool. But yeah, a pretty underwhelming finale overall.
Yeah.
Shame.
Yeah, but it just kind of for me summed up a lot of the back half of the season. Just underwhelming, sadly.
Yeah. Which is a shame. Also, one more thing: has Roy left?
I think he has. I mean,
yes.
Yeah, it's a shame because it is this thing. Because I just wish that they brought him into the current day storyline a lot sooner. If the plan was to have him like properly leave at the end of the season,
definitely be back, but he's not going to be a regular next season. I don't think.
No,
because they need to actually explain him properly going to Lian Yu.
Yeah,
because he says he needs to go and sort out his issues. But I didn't buy that as, I'm off to a remote island.
What if we get a spin-off for it?
See in 40 years, lads. Like,
what about we get a spin-off for it?
I mean, I would watch it. I'll watch anything with Roy. But that's obviously one of my biggest disappointments with this season is Roy. Like, when they announced way before the season even started, Colton Haynes is returning as a series regular, I freaked out. I was like, this is amazing news. This is the best thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, Colton Haynes was not a series regular. He was.
He wasn't really a season. It was more like a recurring character.
He was recurring.
Yeah.
Because he was only in the flash forwards for most of the season, and half of which he wasn't even in. And then he came in episode 20, and that was it. We had episode 20, 21, 22, and now he's apparently gone. It's disappointing. Because we need to see him, because I think we will see him next season at some point, because we need to see Thea as well.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly, Thea will come back next season.
We'll definitely see Thea next season.
Yeah, we have to see Thea next season. And I think with that, we need to have Roy there as well. And I think what we might see is we might see Roy maybe like with this, bloodlust thing, we might see him maybe hurt Thea. And that's why he
tries to go in the Anu.
I think that might be it. Because remember in episode 2 when William kind of brings up Thea and he gets dead defensive about it?
Yeah.
I think maybe he does something to Thea where that like he just realizes I just can't be around anyone, so I'm off. See you in 40 years. I think that's it. But anyway, that draws this episode of Honor Thy Podcast to a close. A long one for sure, but obviously we had a lot of news to go through with the upfronts as well. So make sure you come back next week as well. We'll have our season finale reviews for Legends and Supergirl. And yeah, this was definitely an interesting one. Make sure you let us know your thoughts on all the episodes this week and all the thoughts on the news as well. We want to thank Chris for joining us this week. It's been awesome to have you on once again.
Thanks for inviting me. Always welcome to come back on whenever you invite me.
Yeah, anytime. And as always, I've been Deck.
I've been Dan.
And we hope to see you guys again next week.